Can everyone hear me? Hi, Honey. Hi, Damiri.
Yes, you
Hi,
can.
Jamal. Hi, Debusola, Elizabeth, Glory, and Patricia. Okay, good morning, everyone. So, I'm sure we all have downloaded our Windows servers and Windows 10 and we have installed it.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Anyone having issues with their Windows server and then the installation? Elizabeth, Patricia, Glory, have you been able to download yours as well?
Good morning, everybody. Good morning, sir. Sir, I have downloaded mine, but I'm yet to install it because I'm actually sharing laptop with my brother. So whenever he's not around, I actually can't do
I
anything.
can't hear you.
I said I've downloaded mine. I've not installed it because I'm sharing laptop with my brother. So he's
Oh,
not around yet. So when he's around, I can finish up.
okay. Jamal, what was the issue?
I had the same issue as Annie. That one, the
He didn't reach
file.
out to me. I said, if you're having the same issue as Danny, you should reach out to me. I said this in the class that day. And then I said Danny should reach out to me too, and she reached out and we have fixed our issue.
That reach out to you.
We need to do that after the class. Hello.
Okay.
People reach out to me on Slack. I respond to people on Slack. I mean, if you have messaged me privately on Slack, I would have replied. But don't worry, after the class, we quickly do that. Uh, so today we are, I'm sure other people apart from Elizabeth and then Jamal, all of you should have your VM like this. So have something like this and then something like this environment. So you have something like this in your environment, the Windows server like this and the Windows 10 like this. So uh so those are what we're going to be working with today. But before we start that, we are going to talk about Active Directory. So on our Windows server, so what makes a server is because it has services that provide different uh, activities or different protocols that allows users to access different protocols. So now one of the services of server is Active Directory, which we are going to like really talk about extensively in this class. So what is Active Directory? So Active Directory is like a directory server, a directory service on a server, just like a phone book on your phone. I mean, your contacts are list on your phone where you see people's contacts. You can manage people's information. You can put their name, their maybe their locations and stuff like that. Same thing is Active Directory on a Windows server. It's just like a directory service that is used to monitor or manage resources in a Windows environment. Now, there's Linux Active Directory, there's Windows Active Directory, but Windows is the most common one, and that's the one we're going to like really focus on in this class. So it's just like a service that helps you manage resources on your server. So just like maybe like a hub or a storage where you can store and organize information about computer resources, computer files, users, applications, and so many other things on the system. So now, for instance, now let's say let's say Patricia has a company and they ask people that works for him, works for her, and then in that company they have different critical infrastructures like printer, routers, and some other things. So how do you manage them? How do you ensure that those things are being managed from one particular location? He wants to know the number of devices that he has, number of users that are accessing those services, number of staffs that he has. So that's what Active Directory gives to you. It allows you to manage everything from one standpoint, from one location. So that's what it does. So if you have a staff that comes to work early in the morning and then you give them a system to work with and all, what do you use to manage them? How do you authenticate that they are your user? That's what Active Directory does for you. So it helps you manage every of your resources, whether physical resource, whether hardware or software. So that's what Active Directory does. So you can see, can create user group, you can create computer groups, you can create printers, applications, network devices, and so on and so forth. So that's what Active Directory is for you. Then we have the function of Active Directory. I've mentioned some of them. One is authentication. It verifies identity of a user and computers identity to accept your network resource. So now what it does is that once you have an Active Directory environment, you onboard your users, you create users, you add your devices to the Active Directory, your infrastructure, network devices, firewalls, and all those things. You add them to Active Directory. Now, so whenever they are trying to access the network or your resource within, maybe you have a database as well. Now, Active Directory is what authenticate them that, oh, they are legitimate device, they are legitimate user. That's what it does. So now, if someone does not belong to Active Directory and is trying to access some files or some critical assets in your environment, it blocks them out because you will not be able to authenticate them. So that's why most time when you see you go to bank and they give you wireless access. It takes you to one login page that asks you to log in your information. So if you try to log in and your username and password is not correct or was not given to you by the bank, it bans you out because you have not been authenticated on the Active Directory and you don't have an account on the Active Directory because that Wi-Fi authenticates through the Windows server. Are you following me? Hello? Can everyone hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. So the next thing is authorization. So once you have been authenticated, Active Directory allows you to set permissions for different users, different devices, different resources. You've been authenticated on the Active Directory. Now, what are the privileges that you have on the Active Directory? What are the things are you allowed to do? What are the files that you are allowed to open? What are the files that you are trying to execute and stuff like that? Active Directory gives you that permission. So now once the user has been added to your Active Directory and then your computer too has been added to an Active Directory, there's limits to what you can do. For instance, now, anything that has to do with administrative access or administrative duties on your laptop, you might not be able to do it again if you are not an admin. Because for every time you try to access anything that requires administrative privilege, he asks you to give you an administrative username and password. And then if your user is not an administrator, you can't do anything. So once they give you a laptop in an organization now, you are just another user. Until you move up on the ladder of maybe promotions or stuff like that, and then your privilege changes, there are limits to what you can do in the organization, on even your PC or the network or in the environment of the company. So that's what Active Directory also does. It's help you set access control, put access control in place, permissions and some other things that gives authentications to users to perform specific tasks in the network. The next one is the directory service. Just like I've said, it's a centralized storage where you can store and organize device and organize information like users, groups, computer, printers. So you can create different groups for different infrastructures, including users and then computers, applications, and some other things. So Active Directory give you an opportunity to create different user groups, groups of groups, and then different resource groups. So that in sense that if you create, let's say your company now, you are like maybe 50 staffs, and then all those 50 staffs has different levels in the organization. We have the level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4. You understand now? So you can create different groups for different levels. So now, if let's say Ademola is in level 1 this year, and then next year he needs to move to level 2, So you create another group for level 2 where everybody that needs to be promoted to level 2 will be added. So now you cannot set your privilege, your permission in the sense that the privilege that level 1 has on the network is not the same thing as what level 2 has. Then level 3 and level 4, then we have the administrator. Just like that. So those are things that Active Directory allows you to, can help you group your device and then administer resources, administer permissions to those groups that you have created. So if it's a user group, if it's a group, if it's a computer group or resource group, you can administer privilege to those groups. So it gives you an opportunity to centralize, manage information within all your network resources and then devices that you have on your environment. Then we have the policy management. Yes, this is where you set how you want your Active Directory to move, who should have access to something, who should not have access to something, and stuff like that. If you want to push policy to systems or groups or resources that are connected to your Active Directory, this is where you do them, just like firewall. You know, firewall, once you have a firewall on the network, it's either it allows you go in or go out. What allows you to do that is either in or out is policy. So there is a policy on Active Directory that allows you to access information that are domiciled on the Active Directory database, or the resources that you can manage, or resources that you access in the network. So that's another function of Active Directory. Am I making sense, please? Hello?
Yes, you are, sir.
Okay, good. I just want to be sure that everybody's hearing me. Then we have, you can also use policy management to manage resources by pushing settings and configurations to users and computer, ensuring that they follow compliance. For instance, now if you don't want users to be able to maybe see date and time on their system, you can do that from your policy management. You just remove date and time from their systems and they will not be able to add it back. Or you don't want them to access a particular file on their system, you can do that from the group policy. If you want them to not be able to change their desktop image or desktop pictures, you can also do that from the policy. So you can push, it's not as if you can only do permission settings on the group policy, you can also do configuration changes on the group policy as well. So that's another function of the Active Directory. Then the next one is replication. So Active Directory allows you to replicate your domain or move your information from one server to the other. So let's say, for instance, now on the Active Directory, you created a domain name maybe patricia.com, and then your server crash or something happens, or you want to replicate that what you have in this Active Directory to another server, so that whenever anything happens to this one, that one can be available. So you can just replicate the domain from one server to the other. So once we start doing the practical, you understand it better, this replication part. And then we have the DNS integration. I'm sure we all know what DNS is now. I've explained what DNS is. So Active Directory integrates with the domain name system to provide name resolution for locating network resources and their domain. So now, what it means is that once you have a DNS configured on your Active Directory, it gives the server the ability to locate different resources, different services, and their IP addresses. For instance, now if you have maybe another server that is hosting maybe your FTP, or there's another server hosting your other services, and they have an IP address. Now you can use DNS to resolve those IP address to a domain name that it is easier for people to remember. So now let's say Patricia has patricia.com is the Patricia's domain now, and then he wants to have a server that will be hosting an FTP server. You can name it ftp.patricia.com. So instead of having to know those IP address in his head, he knows that, okay, fine, this FTP server is my server. So it's under my domain. So that domain that he has created from his Active Directory will be integrated to that one too as a subdomain inside an Active Directory domain that has been created. So that server will be like ftp.partition.com, or maybe there's another server that is hosting this web server, maybe web server.partition.com, and some other things. So Active Directory helps you to be able to resolve different resources with the DNS by resolving the IP address to a domain name that people can easily remember, and then register them on Active Directory, and then when it's time for discovery, they are easily discovered on the network. So those are some of the functions of Active Directory. There are many. If you, after the class, you can just go out there and then read more about Active Directory and see how they actually really work. So now, so these are some of the supporting services of Active Directory. I've mentioned them. We have the domain name system, we have the group policy, we have the kernel authentication, which is responsible for authenticating users on the Active Directory. We have the LDAP. So I'm going to give you this file after the class so that you can read more on some of those things. So I just want us to quickly move into the practical part so that you can see how Active Directory really works. Does that make sense? Hello?
Yes, it does.
Okay. Okay, so now let's move to our server. So now, if you have installed your, okay, Elizabeth,
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, sir. I just
good
have a
morning.
question. Can we say that an Active Directory is a real life package tracer?
No,
Okay.
no. Packet tracer is a network simulating tool. An Active Directory is a server.
Okay. All right.
You understand now?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Okay. Can you see my screen now?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So now, if you have your server installed, this is what you're going to see. So now, this is just a server without anything. So now, this is your window. Which one is that? One minute, please. I'm trying to start the window so that I can show you the difference between the server and the Windows. So now, this is a window and this is a server. So both of them are Microsoft operating system. You can see this is a Windows server and this is just a window client, which is Windows 10 that all of us uses, Windows 10 and Windows 11. So it's called clients and this is a server. So now if you see them, they look the same. Can you see? They look the same, but this is a server and this is a client. So now inside this one, we have something we call the server manager, something like this, where you see everything that's regarding the server, things that you can configure on the server. You can see these are, you can add rules, you can add servers to manage, create server group, and some other things. So these are things that you can do on server. You can see that the information about the server, all servers, we have multiple servers and all, and then file and storage services. So this is it. But on Windows, it's just a client that you can install your applications on and start using. But this server provides other usage, other things that you can use to make work easier. Now, inside the server, we have something we call rules. Something called rules and features. So all these rules are services that you can install on the server and that the clients can access. For example, the Active Directory I just mentioned, the FTP, the web server, all those protocols I've mentioned, even the HTTP. You can install them on the server and then make sure that the server give access to the windows to be able to access those resources. Hello, am I making sense, please?
Someone is only sweat there, so then you won't feel that. I feel that sweat all your body hot.
Hi, Alimat, please, can you help us mute
I'm
yours?
trying to even look at the person that is speaking. One minute. So now the next thing to do is we are going to install some of these rules and features, and then we are going to add this device, this Windows 10 client, to the Active Directory, to this server, so that we can centrally manage the device from the Active Directory. That's what we're going to do today. So now, to do that, we can see, we will go to our local server and see the information about our server. So now you can see our server name, the computer name is this, and it belongs to a work group. Now we have firewall enabled, it has an internet, it's using DHCP, and then some other information about it, the time and everything. So these are the features or properties of our server. Now these are the properties that are there. So now we have this amount of disk space, and then our RAM is this, and these are the properties of the system. But this is a Windows client, just like the one that you have on your system, installed on your system. But this is just an operating system that is specifically made for servers, not for daily use. They are for servers where people can install services for clients to be able to access. So that's the difference between them, even though both of them are running the same operating system and they look alike. So now, to do that, we have to do some changes. We need to do some renamings and some other things to make sure that our server is easily accessible, and then is not hard for client to access. And then one of the things that we're going to do, we are going to change the IP address from DHCP to static, so that even if the DHCP address change, the server will still be static. The address will not change, so that, because if we leave it as DHCP, once our list period, our DHCP list period expires, the IP address changes. And if a device has been connected to the Active Directory, that address that was used to connect to that device, they will not be able to access it again because the DHCP has changed the IP address. So we are going to make it static so that it will not change irrespective of what happens on DHCP. Elizabeth, I can see your hand.
Sorry, sir. I just wanted to find out, like our normal PC now
Yeah.
that we use, does it have a server in it as well?
No,
Or it's just the client that it
it's
has?
just a client, just like this.
Okay.
This is a server. You don't see this on your system, right?
Yes, sir.
Exactly. So this is what makes it a server, the server manager, and this is just a client. It doesn't have the server manager.
Okay.
Do you understand now?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So the next thing is we're going to start with renaming our computer, and then we'll do the DHCP from the IP address from DHCP to static, and then we 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 install our rules and features on the Active Directory. So the first thing to do is let's open our command prompt, CMD, then check our IP address. We can see these are IP address 192.89.147, and these are gateway, and these are network properties. So we're going to change this IP address from DHCP to static. So the IP address that we're going to use is going to be within this range of class A IP address, and then we're just going to pick a number between 147 and then either downward or upward, that will know that DHCP will not change along the line. Does that make sense? I mean, in one of our classes, I showed you how DHCP are configured on the VM. Do you still remember that class? Hello? Hello? Hello.
Hi, we are hearing you.
I said in one of our class, do you remember I showed us how DCB are configured on the VMware, where I show you the ranges and all on the VM. You go to edit, you go to virtual network editor. Do you remember why I was showing
Yes.
you these different NAT settings, DHCP settings, and all? Do you still remember?
Yes, you did.
Okay, so
Yeah.
now you can
Yes.
see the DHCP for this DHCP range for this for our NAT is starting from 128. So any IP address that we're going to use is going to be below 128 for our static address, so that the DHCP will not change it along the line or assign it to another system. So now our current address is 149, 147 rather, based on what we have on our DHCP configuration. But here now we have 128. So any address that we're going to pick is going to be between 128 downward, so that the DHCP will not assign that address to any device. So first thing is we are going to go to the network adapter, come here, right click on here, open network and sharing center, and then go to adapter settings, right click on the interface, which is the Ethernet 0, and then go to IP version 4. So you can see now it's obtaining IP address automatically from the VMware. So now we're going to use the following IP address. So let's say our IP address is going to be 192.168.89. Let's use 30 as our IP address, and our default gateway is going to be 192.168.89.2. Then we're going to leave our DNS as Google DNS, so that I can automatically resolve address to Google. So now this is the Google DNS 8.8.8.8, and then this has been done. We have set up our IP address to static now, so it's not going to change. Now this has closed this, and then we're fine. So we go back to our local server now. You can see if you refresh this now, you'll see now that our IP address has changed from DHCP to static. Does that make sense? So now this IP address will not change irrespective of what happened on our DHCP settings. Any question, please? Hello?
Understood.
Can you still see my screen?
Yes, we can see
Okay,
you.
good. Okay, good. Thanks. So now the next thing for us to do is rename our computer name. So now we can double click on it and then go to change name. Now let's give our name Tech IT, or someone should give us a computer name that we can use. Let's say Tech IT. Yes, Tech IT is our computer name, and then we're going to click OK now. Now we've changed our computer name from that window, whatever that it is, and then we have to start our system to effect the change. So now you can see this, our former name, we have changed it to Tech IT. So we will ask us to restart the system so that the settings can be affected. So we're going to start it now, and it's going to take a while to come up. Any questions so far, please? Hello? Hello?
Hello, sir. I
Any
can hear
question?
you,
Any
but
questions so far?
I don't have any questions. Just that I'm lost. I don't understand.
You don't understand?
Yes, sir.
What is it that you don't understand there?
I think it's because it's the first time. Maybe when I watch the recording again, I'll comprehend. But right now, it's just a lot of information to take it.
Any other person feeling the same way Adebusola is feeling?
It's Elizabeth. Though.
Damiri, where are you? I thought you were speaking. I can't hear you, Damiri, you are speaking. Hello? So, this has already started.
It was Elizabeth that was speaking, not me.
Yeah?
It was Elizabeth that was speaking, not me.
Oh. It was Elizabeth that was speaking. Oh,
Yes.
sorry. Okay, so we're going to log in now. Okay, so server manager is up. And then if you go to our local server now, we can see our properties now has changed from the former name to this name, and our IP address is still the same. It doesn't change. Then our time is fine, no issues. So now the next thing for us to do now is to now start configuring rules and features for this server. So now this server is just a normal server doing nothing. So now the next thing to do is we install our Active Directory on it. We'll install the DNS, we'll install the web server, install the FTP server, and some other things. All those features can now start coming in, and then services can now be installed. So now to do that, we go to add rules and features. Now, we want to change this server from just an ordinary server doing nothing to a server where devices can come on and then do one or two things, access some network resources on. So we're going to add the rules. Now, to add the rules, this is how you go. You click on add rules and features. Then you can see these are the information about what you want to add. So this helps you to install rules, services, or features. So you determine which rules or service or features to install based on what you need or the computing needs of your organization, such as sharing documents, hosting a website, stuff like that. So if anybody is going to host a website or play a website online, this is how they do it. So if you buy an hosting, if you buy an hosting for maybe GoDaddy or stuff like that, they give you a server where you can put what you have designed, whether it is WordPress, whether it is blog, whether it's HTML and CSS. They just help you save those files there and then make it accessible to the public because their own servers access to the internet. That's why it's called a domain name and an hosting platform where they help you host your file so that you can access it from the internet. So what we want to do now is we want to add some of the rules and services that will allow us to be able to access information on our network. So we click on next. Now we have two different installation types. We have the role-based type and we have the remote desktop service installation. So the role-based is configuring a single server by adding rules and services. So this one install require rules for virtual infrastructure. The device is not here, but you want to use this machine to install rules and features on it. So you pick this, and then you want to click on next. You can click on deployment type, and then you remote desktop on the device, and then start installing what you want to install on the server. That is not here with you, but we are doing it here, so we are going to pick remote, rule-based or feature-based installation. Now you can see this is our properties, the name of our server, the IP address, and the operating system that we are running, Microsoft Windows Server 2016 data center. So if you have a virtual disk that you want to add to it, you click a virtual disk, you give the virtual disk a name or the path where the virtual disk is, and then you attach it to your file, to your server, and then you can install it on it. But since we have the server here, this the hard disk that is inside our server that we're using, we click on next. Now, these are the rules. Now, we can see these are different rules and services that we have on Windows Server. So there are a lot of them. Yeah, I'm not saying that you will know all of them in this class, you can just read about different all of these roles and the services and see what they do. We have the Active Directory certificate services, domain services, federation services, and stuff like that. So those are ones for Active Directory. We have the DHCP. We know what the DHCP is. We've configured it on our packet tracer. You automatically assign IP address to devices connected to it. We have the DNS, we have the file storage and services, we have the Hyper-V. Hyper-V is what I told you when we were doing virtualization. That's a Windows server, a Windows-based VMware, a Windows-based virtual machine. That's what Hyper-V is. So it's a VM that allows you, the virtual machine that allows you to install another Windows operating system inside a server. So that's what Hyper-V does. Then we have the other one, we have the web server, we have the remote desktop, remote access, and many more. So these are the rules. So now what we want to do is we want to install Active Directory domain service. So now, if you are installing Active Directory domain services, these are the features that we need to install with it, that is going to come with it by default. We have the remote server administrating tool, remote administrating tools, and these are some of the features that come pre-installed with Active Directory. Can everyone still hear me, please?
Yes.
Yes.
Can everyone still hear me? Okay. I feel like my network is breaking or something. So we add the features, and then this is it. We've installed, we've added Active Directory to what we want to do now. The next thing is DNS. We add the features. We can also do DHCP. Yes. Then we have the web server as well. So these are services that we want to install, we want to be using, we want to use on the server. So you can see Active Directory, DHCP, DNS, and then web server. So if the other services that you want to use, you can pick them here as well. So you've added them and then we have their features. So now next is to add other features. Now, if you want to add other features that you need that doesn't come pre-installed with the rules that we've picked, you can also pick them here. You can see all these ones come with the ones that we've picked, all the ones that have been ticked, they come pre-installed with the ones that we picked. So SMB and all these things. Can we have see SMTP server? This is another feature added. We have SNMP, pick it as well. So we have telnet, can pick this as well. So those are features that doesn't come pre-installed with all the rules that we picked initially. So we've added them now. Then the next, let me see. I think there's still one feature that I'm looking for. Okay, no other features I'm looking for. So next, now you can see the AD. This is what the AD does. This information about the AD. It stores information about user, computer, and other devices on the network. It helps administrators securely manage this information and facilitate resource sharing and collaborations between users. So you can see these are things to note and information about the AD. Then the next is DNS. So now the DNS provides the standard method for associating names with a numeric internet address, which is the IP address. It helps you resolve a name to an IP address. So it makes it possible for users to refer to network computers by using easy to remember names instead of having all those long IP addresses in their head. And then you can see it provides an hierarchical namespace, ensuring that each host name will be unique across local wide area network. Just as I've explained, if Patricia has another server that wants to be on the same domain as this one, can name it like ftp.patricia.com, dhcp. Whatever those servers are doing. So it will help them arrange those servers in hierarchical. So now the first one is the domain, which is the patricia.com, which has the Active Directory, while the other one is the FTP. They can be called the child domain inside the DNS. So those are things that DNS allows you to do. Then we have the DHCP, allows user to assign or list IP address to computers and other devices that are enabled as DHCP clients. So if I add a device to my Windows server now, and I stop the VMware from giving them a DHCP address, it takes address from the server here. I'm going to show you how that works at the end of before the end of the, I think we should be able to do that before the end of this class. So he picks an IP address from here because it's connected to this Active Directory. So all I just need to do is come here and stop the DHCP assignment from here so that the Windows here that are connected to this Active Directory can pick an IP address directly from the Windows server. So that's what DHCP does. Then we have the web server. Just this one allows you to share information over the internet, just our HTTP server where you can go and pick information, resources, and some other things from. So this is the web server. Then the rules. So now these are the rules of web server. So you can add more rules here now. You can see these are the rules that come pre-installed with the rules. These are features, services that come pre-installed with that rule. So we can add more URL authorization and some other things. So I'm adding FTP server to it. So all other ones are fine. So we click next. Now, so these are the things that we want to install on the server. Now, before now, the server is just an ordinary server without anything. So now we want to install all these features, all these rules and features to it in order to make it more usable for people, maybe people in the organization or people that need to access the server. So now I'm going to install it. So I've started installation now. So I'm installing those rules, the features, and their services on the server. So it's going to take a while to install. Any question, please?
I have a question. Or is this the way
Okay.
we are assigning? Can we say it's basically like system administration, or is it different?
Yes. This is just like system administration. Yes. So if someone is working as a sysadmin in an organization, this is what they do. Do you understand, Patricia?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Okay, so now the installation is complete. So the next thing is you start for setting up. So now you can just leave loose. Now we can see now.
You don't send it.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, we can now.
Hello. I don't know. I think my network went off. I'm sorry. Let me just. I'm trying to switch network. One
Okay, sir.
minute. 1 minute, please. Can you see my screen now?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Um. So switch my network on. So yeah. Okay. I'm back. Okay. So I'm sorry about that. It was the network that's messing with me, but I've been able to sort it out now. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, good. And it's clear, but it's better now.
Yeah, it's very clear.
Yes. So now all these services and the rules that we installed now are now fully installed. You can see we have the Active Directory domain services, we have the DCP, we have the DNS, and we have the IIS, which is the web server. So all these ones are installed. Now the next thing is to come to this flag here and then do configure them. So we can see we have the promote this server to the email controller and then complete the DHCP configuration. So the first thing to do is we're going to promote the Active Directory to the domain controller. So you click on this one and then you can see this way you're going to add the type of domain that you're trying to configure for this server. Now you can see add a domain controller to an existing domain. So now let's say you have an AD and then you want to add another one or another server to your current Active Directory. This is what you pick. A new server, but this is you have the domain, but you want to add this particular server that you're trying to configure to another domain, making sure that both of them coexist together on the same domain name. You can use this one, or you have a domain but we want to create a subdomain, just as I explained, ftp.patricia.com. We want to add a child domain to the parent domain. So you are going to specify the parent domain here. Let's say this is patricia.com. Patricia.com. Now, the domain name that I want to add, the child domain can be ftp.patricia.com. That's what this one is doing. But now, this is a new domain, a new forest. It's called a new forest, a new domain, new server that we just want to connect. Just want to configure. So we're going to put the root domain, which is our first domain name, to it. So what we're going to do is we're going to give it a domain name. So let's say our domain name is I'm not sure if TechIT is active on internet. TechIT.com. So let's use techit.local. Techit.local. So we use .com. .com is already hosted on the internet. So techit.local is our domain name. So anything that we're going to add to this domain now is going to be a subdomain, a child domain. So these are our root forest, these are forests. So every other thing that comes after this one are branches.
Me there English is more Guinea talk. Doing be not.
Please try to be muting your mic if you are talking, please, if you're in class. So it is techit.local, which is our root domain now. So every other thing that comes here, comes after this one is going to be the child domain. So we click on next. Now it's going to check if that same domain is not already existing in our environment. So now we don't have anyone that is existing. So we're going to put directory service restore mode. For instance, if anything happens to our Active Directory and they want to restore it, yeah, this is a password that we're going to use to restore it. So you can put any password here. So then we'll click on next as well. Now, NetBIOS. So this is going to be our NetBIOS name. The domain name is going to have a name of itself, just like we have TechIT. So most of the time, it's always the name of the server. That's always the domain. So I'm going to use as TechIT as our NetBIOS name. So our name on the network, the name of this actually or this server on the network is going to be TechIT. So click on next. Okay. Mhm. So this is the location of the folder that is storing the information on Active Directory. So now this is the database folder. It's here, the log files folder, and then system volume folder. So this is where all the information is about this Active Directory, the groups, the users, and everything that you're going to create on the Active Directory. This is where it's going to be stored. Anything logs on this server is going to be stored there. And the system volume folder is here as well. Then you click on next. Now it's checking review of everything that we've done so far. And then it's checking prerequisites to see if we tick every box that need to be ticked, if your IP address is static, if you have your DNS installed, and every other things. It's checking for the prerequisite check. If everything is fine, then we can install the domain, we can promote our server to the domain controller. So it's checking. So now you can see all prerequisite checks pass successfully. So click install to begin. So now click install to begin installation. So everything is fine. We can now install and promote our server to domain controller. Now, this is now we have to start installing our Active Directory here now. So once it's done, we can now see that we have an Active Directory working successfully on the server. Does that make sense? So the server has been successfully configured as a domain controller. So now we need to restart the server. So it's going to promote the server to domain controller now. So click on close, and then it's going to restart. Any questions so far, please? Any question, please? Please, can you all hear me? The class is too quiet.
Yes, we can, sir.
Okay. Okay. So the server is starting. So it's applying the settings. Okay, so you can see now we've added our NetBIOS name to the administrator. So it means that our Active Directory, our server has been moved to the domain controller. Now we have an Active Directory installed on the server now, where we can manage resources, we can manage users, we can manage groups and some other things. So we're going to log in. So my password has expired. I need to change the password. So I'm changing my password and I'm signing in. So now our Active Directory has been fully installed now. The next thing to do is to configure our DHCP settings. Now we will configure our DHCP configuration, and so we can see the following step we perform to complete the configuration of the DHCP server on this target computer. So we're going to create a security group for the delegation of DHCP server administration for administrators and the DHCP users. Next, if you have any other credentials that we want to add, we can. So this is the person that will be managing the DHCP server. This is the user. So if you have another user that want to apply, I want to add, we can also add them here. And if you want to skip it, that anybody can just manage, come into the server and manage the DHCP. We can skip AD authorization as well. So, but we just want the administrator to be able to manage it. So we click on commit, and then we can see this has been done. So if you are configuring your DHCP and you didn't see these two after configuring it, that means your DHCP is not configured properly. So you are supposed to get authorizing and creating security groups done. Then our DHCP has been configured. So you can see everything has been configured now. The AD, the DHCP, the DNS, and every other thing has been done. So now let's explore them one after the other. So this has been done. No, you should just clear it and then we are good. So now let's start with Active Directory. So now to manage our Active Directory, to create users, to create groups, to add network resources, add computers and all, we go to tools here. You can see these are things that we can do on the server now. You can see Active Directory Administrative Center, Active Directory domains and trust, modules for Windows PowerShell, site and services, Active Directory users and computers, and then we have the group policy, we have the information IS server, we have local security policy, we have the DHCP, we have the DNS, and some other ones have been installed. So now, to manage users and computer, what we want to do, we come to click on users and computer. Now let me expand this. Now you can see this is our domain, techit.local. So inside the domain, we have different groups. Now we have the built-in, we have the computer groups, we have the domain controllers, we have the foreign security principals, we have the managed service accounts, and we have the users. So all these are different built-in groups, different groups that comes pre-installed with the Active Directory. Now, if we check this built-in folder, it contains different groups and what they do. So let me try and expand them so that you can see what each and every one of them do on the Active Directory. So let's stop here. Security group. And then the description. So you can see each of these groups, this is what they do. So these are groups that you can add users to. And then these are what the groups does. You can see this one, access control assistance operator. So anybody, any user that is under this group of this group can remotely query authorization attributes and permission for resources on this computer. You can see Hyper-V administrator. Anybody on this group can manage the Hyper-V server. On the server, we have the administrators, which is anybody on this group have complete and unrestricted access to this computer/domain. So these are different groups that we have that comes pre-installed with Active Directory. Then we have the user. So users are prevented from making accidental or intentional system-wide changes. So these users does not have anybody that is in these users, does not have any privilege, does not have any administrative privilege to do anything except log into their client server, client system, and do their basic activity, open Microsoft Word, do one or two things that they need to do, access the internet, access the AD, and that's all. They can't make any significant changes on the client or on the server. They are just ordinary users. So, but all these ones, anybody added to any of these groups have the privilege attributed to the group. So you can also add a group to another group. So if you create a new group now and you want the group to have the administrative privilege, all you just need to do is add the group to administrators group. So anybody added to that group that you created now have administrative privilege as well. Am I making sense, please?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. So now, computers. This is where you see the list of computers that have been added to your system. Your network devices, your router, your firewalls, and all. All of them that has been added to your domain, this is where you get to see them. And you can manage them, you can see what they do on the network. Then we have the domain controllers. You can see if you have many devices that is a domain controller, this is where you're going to see them. So now this is our domain controller. So you can see this is the first default site name. So tech IT. So if you have another device that's also a domain controller and is added to this domain, you can see them here. Then we have the foreign principal, nothing here. And we have this managed service account, nothing is here as well. And then we have the users. So now these are different users group as well. So anybody that is added to this group can have the privilege attributed to this group. So now all these ones are the users group. All these ones are the groups of groups. Why these are the users group? So now you can add user, you can create a user and add them to any of these groups. Same thing you can do in this one too. So you can have groups. We have the DHCP users, DNS admins, update proxies. So now these groups, anybody, any user that's added to this group as well can have the privilege of this group. So just these are domain users, domain guests, DNS update proxy, people that DNS admin, people that can uh configure DNS and do any changes on DNS. Or do anything they want. So whenever a user is added to any of these groups, whatever privilege the group has, user has. So now, for instance, now let's say we want to create another group now. We want to create a group of level group level 4 rather group to administrators group. Level 3 to the other one. Level 1 does not have any privilege. Let's see everybody in this class now, we created them to be in level 1. But as the class progresses, we are promoting them from different levels. So now let's say next week we promote Alima to level 2. So on level 2, what level 2 can do is do DHCP administration. So Alima already has access to do anything DHCP administration, while other ones are in level 1 cannot still do anything. Let's say next upper week now we added Dameri to level 4. So if Dameri is in level 4 now, level 4 is in the administrators group. We've added that group to administrators group as well. So whatever admin can do, admin can do it as well. So that's how people moves in hierarchy in an organization. Just like, for instance, now let's say you are working in an organization now, you get in there this year, you realize that you can't do any other thing in there unless you use your PC to access the internet, do anything related to what you do in the company. But anything administrative work, you can't do it. If you want to make any change to your system, you go to the sysadmin to make changes. You understand now? But along the line, maybe 2 years after entering the company, you realize that now you can do some basic things, like maybe change some settings on your system or access some files on the network because you have been promoted from just another user to a more privileged user, where you can do one or two things on the network. And as you move in the as you stay longer in the company, your privilege increases just like that. So that's what Active Directory does. So most of the time, once you have been promoted, you just send a memo to the sysadmin, and the sysadmin moves you to the next group that it belongs to in the organization. Does that make sense, please? Because I'm trying as much as possible to make sure that I explain the best way you can understand it. Please, are you guys following me? Please, I said I've talked too much today. Hello?
I understand.
Yeah, I can hear you. Hello?
Yes.
Is anybody speaking? Okay, is there anybody speaking? I can't hear you.
Hello? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. I can hear you. Yes, I can hear you. Yes.
Or yeah, I understand.
Cool. Thank you.
You understand, sir?
So now we are going to create some users now. And then now to create users or to create a group, you can either right click on the user here and then either do create users or create groups or whatever you want to do, or come here. You can see this tab here, all this tab here, they are doing different things. This is a refresh tab, and this is where you can create a user. Create a new user in this container that you are in this user folder, and this is groups. So if you want to create groups in this container, or you want to create groups in this container, you can do it. So for here now, we want to create user group. I want to create users. Now we're going to click on user. See, one head with a star is a user. Two head with a star is a group. So now if you want to create a user, we click on create user in this current container. Now, these are the create user in every organization. No matter how big the organization is, if you are using Active Directory, this is how they create a user. So now, for instance, now, let's say we want to create different user for this class. For Tech IT Guest server. Now, the first user we're going to create is, let's say we are creating Adebu Solar. Then your last name is Adebu Solar. What's your last name?
Adekola.
Yeah,
Adekola.
Adekola. Okay,
Yes.
Adekola. So that, right?
Yes, sir.
So that's your first and last name, right? So now you are now a member of Tech IT. So now to log in, your username is going to be adebusola dot adekola at techit.local. Some organization uses their first name with last name like this, but most companies use adebukola and then adekola dot their last name as their username. So now this is our first user, and then the full logon name is adebusola.adekola@techit.local. So now I've created a user now. This is our first user. Now, if you want to log in to the system, this is how to log in. You type the name
We cannot hear you, sir.
of that's how to log. So now the next thing now is to do
Sir,
create a password.
we didn't hear you for a while.
So now,
We stopped hearing you when you were telling us how to log in.
yeah,
We stopped hearing you when you were telling us how to log in.
if you want to log in to user now, hello, can you tell me now? Hello.
Yes, we can hear you now, sir. I can hear you.
Okay. Let me share my screen again. I don't know what's wrong with all these networks today. Just so now I said now if you want to log into a system, or let's say you are now a worker in Tech IT now, and then they give you a system to log in. Is either you log in through adebusola.adekola@techit.local, then supply the default password that they gave you, or you type your username like this, techit0/adebusola.adekola. These are the two legit way to log in to the domain controller now. Does that make sense? Hello? Hello?
Yes, makes sense.
Okay. So now click on next, and then we set the default password. So this is the default password. So now the administrator will set this and then give you the default password. So now these are the password policies. Now the user must change password at next logon. So once you create your account, they give you the default password so that whenever you want to log in for the first time into the network, it prompts you to change your password from the default password to your user-defined password, to your own password yourself, so that you will not come back tomorrow and say someone has been able to access your system and then, take some file from your system. So you are using your system. So now these are the different password policy that must be enforced. User cannot change password. If you tick on this box, it means that user cannot change password. So we have to untick this and tick this. So user cannot change password. So, and then based on the policy that is configured, password never expires. But by default, on Active Directory, your password expires every, I think, 45 days. So if you click on password never expires, it will not prompt you after 45 days to change your password. And if you want the account to be disabled, you click here as well. So these are the policy that is set by this admin based on the company's original policies. So click on next. And then now we've been able to create an account for Adebusola on the Active Directory. Now, Adebusola is not a user in Tech IT. It's not a staff in Tech IT. Now, let's create another user. So, let's create another user. Let's use Dameri. Then, Dameri, what's your last name? Are you there? I can't hear you, Dameri. Can you type it on the chat box? Okay. Okay. Your last name is so that's Dameri. It's going to be Dameri that's at techit.local. Then boom. Set the default password as well. And the next person is maybe Alimat. Now let's get another user, Alimat. Then the last name is Adeyemo. Then we'll do Alimat plus Adeyemo at techit.local, and then we'll create the password as well. Now created one user. So now we're going to create one more user. Let's say which person are we going to use? Annie, are you there? I'm not sure if Annie is there. Uh, I'm looking for one more person from Kenya or South Africa. Okay, let's use Jamal. What's your first and last name? So Jamal, are you there?
Yes, I'm there. I just sent my last name in the chat.
Okay, you have sent it to the chat. So let's use your name as well. So, oh, Annie has sent her name. So I'm going to create Annie. And the last name is I think it's correct. Then it's going to be Annie. Dot at local. Click on next. And there you go. Default password. So we created Annie as the user of Tech IT as well. Then let's create one more. So Jamal, what's your first and last name? Is Jamal your first name?
My first name is
Type your first name and last name.
Oh,
So
Safi
Jalo.
is my first name. My first name is Safia, my last name is Bolu.
Okay, so this is your first and last name, right? It's going to be Safia dot Ole. So this now created. So now we've created all these users now. So now the next thing now is to create a group. Now, so now we come here and we create our group. The group name is we'll do entry level staffs. So now you can see entry level staff, you can see the type of group scope is global. Plus we can keep adding users to the group, and then group type is security, and then it's fine. Now, so now we created an entry level staff here. So now what we're going to do is we're going to move all these users that we created to entry level. So what we're going to do is we come to Safia here, we right click and go to properties, and then we do members of, and then we can add Safia to the entry level group. Or we come to group here. Where is the entry level groups? We click on properties and then go to members, and then we add members to it. So now we are going to type each of those members one after the other. Safia, we check the name. You can see this is your name. We click on OK. We added you to the group. Then we come to the next person. We do Adebusola. We check names. You can see your name is there. We added it. Then we go to our next one. We do Alimat. We check names. You can see your full name is here. We added it. We do Annie. Check names here, and then we add it. So now all these now are members of entry level. So we click on apply and then click on OK. So if you know now, if you check now, you go to Savia again and go to properties, and then we go to member of. You can see now, it's not just another user again now. It's also a member of entry level staff. Does that make sense, please? Hello?
Yes.
Okay, good. Yes. So now we have one more user that I've not added to any group. So let's say we now want to add which other user? Damiri. So we want to add Damiri to the DNS admin now. We come to DNS admin, or we go to Damiri, we click on properties, and we do members of. Now it's ordinary a domain user, so we can add Damiri to DNS admin now. All we just do is type DNS and check names. You can see we have the DNS admin here, and then we can say OK, and then click on OK, and then apply, and then it's fine. So now if you go to DNS admin and click on properties and see members, you can see we have Damiri as the only member of DNS admin. So Damiri has a more hierarchy than all the other ones. So all other ones are in entry level, while Damiri has access to administer DNS on the server. Does that make sense? Okay. So the next one, let's create another user and add the users to administrator. So let's create which other user? Elizabeth, what's your last name? Let's say Elizabeth.
Okpara, sir.
Okpara. So let's say Elizabeth Okpara. Now the logo name is going to be Elizabeth dot Okpara. And next, create a user. Then you click on next. Now, we created the user now. So since Patricia is the owner of the server, so we are going to create Patricia's username too. Patricia, this is your username and password. So this is your first name and last name.
Mwangangi.
Okay, let's say Patricia. And then thank you for typing it. Makes it easy. I'll just copy and paste. Now, this is your last name. So your logon is going to be Patricia dot this, and then go to give an IP and password. So next, and then you can see finish. So now we have Elizabeth and then Patricia now. So now we want to add Elizabeth to DHCP administrators. That is, Elizabeth should be able to administer DHCP to people. So what we just do is that we go to Elizabeth or we go to DHCP. We just do DHCP administrator, properties, and then we go to members. You can see there are nobody there. We add Elizabeth as a member of DHCP. I check names now. You can see Elizabeth Opara. Click OK. Now, Elizabeth is now a member of this group. And then we click on apply and then OK. You can see now. Then you go to Elizabeth again. Where is the name? Elizabeth. So now we go to properties now and go and see a member, the group that she belongs to. You can see is a user and also a DCP administrator. So just not another user, you can also administer the DCP as well. Then we have other person. Okay, Patricia. Patricia is our the owner of the server. So we can add Patricia to administrator. So member of can do add, then we do admin, administrator. Check names. Now, the member of administrator, click OK, and then we apply. You can see Patricia as an administrator, we do apply, and then we do OK. So Patricia now has the privilege that an administrator has. So if you go to administrator group here, you can see, and we click on members, you can see now we have Patricia as well. So now, under the administrator groups, we also have groups under it. So now you can see a DNS admin is under administrator groups. So means that what administrator can do, anybody under DNS admin can do it as well. Enterprise admins, anybody inside enterprise admin can do what an administrator is doing because they are part of the administrator group. So mean that we can add a group to a group. So now, for instance, now let's say now we have our what's it called, entry level group now, and they want to add them to maybe let's say enterprise admin. This entry level group that we created, this, and they want to add it to enterprise admin. Just do member of, and then you come here and add it to enterprise admin, enterprise, and check names. You can see enterprise admin. So click on OK, and then we apply. Now, if you go to enterprise admin now, and go to members, properties, and go to members, you can see now entry level staffs are part of enterprise admin. So we can add a group to another group. So whatever privilege this enterprise admin has, entry level staff has it as well. So that's why if you are configuring DSI, you are configuring Active Directory, you need to be extremely careful while configuring it, and then assigning policy, assigning privilege to users and groups that you have created. Do you understand this so far? Any question? Hello? Any question? I guess we all understand what I've been saying so far. So if you want us to continue, we should stop here for today. But it's really like it's a lot. And I want you to replicate this for the next class. Hello,
I have
can
a
anyone hear me?
question.
Okay, ask your question, Patricia.
So when we have created the users and now we have not given them the roles and the privileges they have in the system, but if we do give it to them, then are they able to come to the client server and be able to log in and access what they've been given by the administrator or the group which is controlling
Yes,
them?
yes. So now we created users now. We added them to groups. Now, that groups that we added them to have some level of privilege. You understand? Like administrators group now, just like this, the administrator group here, you can see this is the description, this is what it can do on the group, on the system here. Have complete and unrestricted access to the system. So anybody that we added to this group can do what an administrator can do, an administrator user can do. So we've created different users and we added them to different groups. Now, if you want to add a client to this Active Directory now, we can use these users to log in one after the other. So that's what we're going to be continuing from in our next class. So we're going to add a client to the Active Directory and we're going to be using these users to log in one after the other and see what they can do on the system. Does that make sense, Patricia?
Yes, it makes sense.
Okay, does that answer your question as well?
Yeah, it answers my question.
Okay. Any other question? This is room for questions. I want you to ask as much questions as possible so that when you are doing it on your own hand, you should be able to figure it out yourself. Any question, please? Okay. I see there are no questions. So, against next class, everything we've done in this class today, I want you to replicate it on your server. Everybody, replicate it on your own server, and then next class, you're going to share your screen before we add a client. Before we add this window 10 to the Active Directory, I want to see what you have done on your own server as well. So create as many users as possible, add them to different groups, and the next class, I'm going to take a look at them. So now we can see we have users, we have created users and created groups, and we have added them to different groups. So next class, we're going to add computers to the our Active Directory. That's what we're going to start from next class. And then we're going to assign policy to some of the computers and users that we've added on the Active Directory domain controller. So this is where we're going to stop today. Any question, please, before we call it a day? So no questions. Have you taken your attendance, Adibushola? Adibushola, can you hear
Yes,
me?
I've already dropped it. I dropped the link on the group.
Okay, no problem. So in the absence of no question, I guess we'll continue here on Friday by God's grace. Thank you, everyone. See you all on Friday.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Adibushola.
Thank you, sir.
So, thank you. So, Savia, you
Thank you,
can
sir.
message me on Slack immediately after the class so that we can fix your system.
Okay.
All right. Thank you,
Thank you, sir.
everyone. Enjoy your weekend. Bye.